Hi, my friend. Welcome to Mindful Chatting. I'm going to start off by asking you something that might make you a little uncomfortable. Have you ever caught yourself wishing someone would finally come along and make everything feel okay? Not necessarily rescue you financially or solve all of your problems, but finally make you just feel chosen, safe, important, loved without having to earn it. I think a lot of us spend years waiting for someone to give us what we really never received growing up: a partner, a friend, a boss, a therapist, a mentor, someone who finally says, like, you're enough. And the problem is if we keep waiting for someone else to become that voice for us, we stay dependent on something that we really can't control. Today's conversation is about one of the hardest and I think one of the most freeing parts of healing: becoming the adult your younger self probably needed. But don't worry, we're going to unpack this together.
Welcome to Mindful Chatting, a podcast where therapy meets real life. I'm Kristen, a therapist, business owner, and a lifelong student of what it means to fully show up in our relationships, in our work, and in our healing. Here, we unpack mental health concepts, explore mindfulness tools, and talk through the messy, beautiful, in-between moments that shape us. Whether you're a fellow clinician, a curious listener, or someone navigating your own growth, this space is for you. Let's chat.
One of the biggest myths about healing is that we get over our childhood. We don't. We carry it with us, not always as memories, but sometimes as our reactions, sometimes as the fears we hold, our beliefs, and sometimes as the way we speak to ourselves. When something today feels overwhelmingly painful, it is worth asking, is this only about today, or is it today touching something much older inside of me? And that doesn't mean that we're being dramatic. It means our nervous system remembers something. Your inner child isn't asking you to relive your past, they're asking you not to leave them there. So, one pattern I see often, especially in therapy and in life, is what I like to call the rescue fantasy. We unconsciously hope that if we find this right person, we'll finally feel whole. The perfect partner, the perfect boss, the perfect friend, the perfect therapist. And while healthy relationships absolutely matter, no relationship can permanently fill a wound that requires your own healing. That's a lot of pressure to put on another person and to put on a relationship. So I want you to think about a time in your life where you may have been dependent on a particular person to make you feel something, and how much stress that may have caused not only on that person, but on that relationship. And I want to share a story about I had put a lot of pressure on my past partners to be something that I wish my parent or caretaker would have given me. So, for example, if I had maybe felt like I wasn't prioritized or chosen or put ahead of somebody else's reactions as a child, I may expect that and want that in relationships. And so that can look like them choosing me over their friends, or them choosing to spend time with me instead of having alone time. And that also maybe be reflected in a lot of our love languages. Like, it looks like quality time that we're asking for, but it can never really feel enough. And so I think that's where the dynamic of wanting something and it becoming maybe problematic within the relationship of this person may be giving you all of their quality time, but for you, it may feel like it's never enough and you always want it. And so that's where it's going to put a lot of pressure on the person and the relationship to heal something within you, because you were looking to feel chosen and important and prioritized in a past relationship a long time ago. So I want to talk about what reparenting looks like. It's not pretending that like everything is okay. It's responding differently than you were taught. So here's what I want you to come back to when you're having these issues where you may be putting a lot of pressure and expectations on your partner or another relationship or on the relationship to be healing something within inside you. One of the things I want you to ask is, what am I feeling right now? And I don't think we ask it enough. And to be honest, part of reparenting you is asking that of you. I think a lot of times, if we've been in caretaker relationships where the parent or the caretaker's emotion becomes the more center of what's going on, people will tend to minimize and kind of, um, numb and soften their feelings because there's no place for them. So, right now, we're practicing what that would look like. We're just going to name it and we're not going to judge it. So, after you kind of figure out what you're feeling, I want you to ask a question of, how old does this feeling seem? Sometimes your body reacts like you're 8, and even though you might be 38. And so that's really important. And this is where I'll hear from people in sessions going, I can't believe I reacted like that, or I don't know where this is coming from, but I want to do this, or I feel like I turned into a different person. Well, that's kind of a part of you that may have been betrayed or wounded in your past. And it might be going back to that certain age. And that's why maybe we coming up with what we call tantrums as adults, is we may be, kind of hurting or triggering an old wound, and we're responding to it within that age range. The next question I want you to ask yourself is, what did I need then, back then, not now, then? Did I need comfort, protection, validation, someone to believe in, maybe permission to make mistakes? This is really important because we're trying to identify what this feeling is and what the need is. And then that leads into the next question of, how can I offer that to myself? So instead of relying on this particular relationship or this partner to feed that need, what can I do in order to feed that need by myself? Not perfectly, just intentionally. So this may look like, well, maybe I want to feel chosen or important. And maybe that's coming from when I didn't feel that as a child. And so when my partner wants to go out and hang out with their friends, I may sulk and get upset and not want to talk to them, kind of like what a child would do if there's no safe space to feel or to share what they're expressing. So the need is to be able to express myself, but also be chosen. So how do I feel important and chosen? So maybe while my partner is going out, I make the time alone to feel important, to feel chosen, not just waiting around for my partner to return. The last question is what's one action that reflects care instead of criticism towards you? Maybe it's resting, maybe it's saying no, maybe it's asking for help, or maybe it's replacing one harsh thought that you have with a lot kinder one. I think this is really important because we will react and be very shameful and be very derogatory towards ourselves if we act in a way that is childlike, when recognizing that that is a part of our child self that may be bringing up a triggering older wound, and showing compassion and love towards that part instead of shaming it and putting it away like something's wrong with us.
If you want to understand your ADHD in a deeper way, I've created the ADHD Crash Course, and it walks you through ADHD step by step so that you can actually start understanding your brain and not shaming it. Everything's in small, doable lessons designed for your ADHD in mind. The link is in the show notes.
I think one of the things that I've learned as a therapist in this reparenting process when it comes to trauma and healing is that it doesn't happen in one big breakthrough. It happens in hundreds of little tiny moments. And the moment that maybe you stop calling yourself lazy, or it's maybe in the moment that you let yourself rest without having to earn it, or it's that moment that maybe you apologized to yourself about how harsh you've been to yourself lately, or maybe it's the moment you realize that the way you've been speaking to yourself matters just as much as the way anyone else speaks to you too. That is healing. And it's not because it's dramatic, because it's consistent. And that's what we were really looking for in a parent and a caretaker anyway. At the end of the day, the goal isn't to get triggered. It's to become someone your nervous system experiences as safe, someone who listens instead of shames you. someone who comforts you instead of criticizes, someone who protects instead of abandons. That's what reparenting is, and you're doing that for yourself. And you're not replacing your parents, you're just replacing old patterns with healthier ones. So, this week, my challenge for you is when you catch yourself being really self critical, I just want you to pause and ask yourself, if I were talking to that 8-year-old version of me, would I say this? If the answer is no, then I want you to try again. Just one sentence, one kinder response. That can be enough. If there's one thing that I hope you remember today, it's this: the version of you that needed love, needed safety, needed someone to believe in them, isn't asking you to fix the past. They're asking you to show up for them today. And you can't change what happened, but you can become the kind of adult who no longer repeats it. And sometimes that's the most powerful form of healing there is. I want to thank you for joining me. And as always, be gentle with your mind.
One more thing before you go, and this helps me personally, staying present and grounded, which we all need, especially when your brain wants to spiral into disconnection. Me too. It's Brain FM. It's musically designed to help ADHD brains, well, really anyone's brain, focus, relax, or sleep, and I use it almost daily. If you want to try it, I've dropped my link in the show notes. And if you're looking for planning tools or ADHD-friendly resources, I'll keep a list of my favorite links in every episode.